Chairman signals a departure from the quarantine classifications we have been used to, as only ECQ and GCQ will be put in place. The new scheme will also introduce perks for the fully vaccinated. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Edwin Gao. You're watching The Big Story. Now, how exactly will this new scheme work? Metro Manila's Alert Level 4 status is the second strictest lockdown measure in the 5-level system. To be placed in this level means case count in the covered area is high or increasing. The same goes for its healthcare utilization rate. Granular lockdowns in localities may also be implemented as necessary.
Inter- and intrazonal travel will be allowed. This excludes minors, seniors over 65, the immunocompromised, and the pregnant. Indoor leisure establishments will also remain closed. Outdoor exercises will be allowed, but limited to the area of residence.
Outdoor dining, personal care stores, and religious services will be open up to 30% capacity for everybody. Indoor venues are reserved only for the fully vaccinated and will be limited to 10% capacity. Note that workers in these establishments and services need to be fully vaccinated as well. And as expected, many Metro Manila residents are still confused as to how the new setup will be implemented.
As early as now, some sectors believe this is a necessary step to help strike a balance between health and economy. But the World Health Organization has a word of caution. Camille Samonte has the big story.
The new alert level system will finally be piloted in Metro Manila beginning September 16 until the 30th. For this trial, NCR will be under level 4. But not everyone is familiar with the new scheme.
DCQ, MCQ, ano ba yun? Ganun pa rin ba yun? Paliwanag na lang nila ng kung ano ba yung, limbawa ano ba yung level 4 na yun.
Kaming mga nagtitinda, sobra kaming nalilito dahil ito ang pinagkakakitaan namin eh.
The new system is meant to provide a better balance between health and economy, even providing perks for the fully vaccinated. While it's beneficial, the salon still sees the move affecting profit.
Kaya yung iba, hindi na namin tinatanong kung full vaccine ba kayo or ano, ganun. Basta ang sinasabi lang namin is distance o kaya magsuot ng face mask.
For a business group, it's high time to do away with quarantine measures.
Pag walang makain yan, lalabas din, magsiservice din sa mas delikado pa eh.
San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora echoes this. He says the new strategy was approved with forethought.
And if you will notice, mas malaki yung capacity sa outdoors at 30%, yung indoors naman 10% lamang at kinakailangan fully vaccinated pa. So meron ng mga safeguards kumbaga na nakaset up po rito.
Octa Research meanwhile said the new system would significantly affect their projections moving forward.
This is a creative way to try to get the economy moving kasi, at least we have vaccinated people and preliminary data shows na vaccinated people have a much lower risk of contracting severe COVID.
For the World Health Organization, the country should be cautious in opening the economy.
We have significant population coverage within NCR. I believe it's about 60% now. But this is not adequate at this point to relax quarantine positions.
For News 5, Camille Samonte, we are One News.
And to weigh in on this, we have with us live via Zoom NTF Special Advisor Dr. Ted Herbosa. Dr. Ted, thank you for joining us and welcome back to The Big Story.
Thank you, Ed, and thank you for including me tonight.
Yes, Doc. Well, para po simple siguro, tama bang sabihin na itong Alert Level 4 sa Metro Manila GCQ luluwag doon sa current nating sitwasyon?
Okay, let me explain. We have to remove the GCQ because we're abandoning already the community quarantine classifications in NCR. So for NCR, we will use this alert level system, categorizing it from level 1 to 5. 5 being the strictest and 4 the level below 5, 1 being normal, and 2 and 3 depending on the increasing or decreasing number of cases and hospital utilization. So the alert level system is something like a typhoon signal.
Yes, sir.
You know, when you have a typhoon signal number 3, we all know what to do. You know, we evacuate higher places. You know, there will be a strong rain and wind or flood. So ganun din yung alert level. It's a system wherein it will allow some areas to continue with economic activity while people are warned what is the level of the viral transmission at that particular locality.
Yes, sir.
So the rest of the country will still use the GCQ, ECQ, and MECQ categories, but this will only be implemented in NCR from September 16 to September 30. And this is because we are, as the WHO said, we have 60% fully vaccinated in NCR and 80% with at least one vaccination. And that's why this attempt to actually live with the virus or coexist with the virus using an alert system.
Yes, sir. Well, sir, we do understand you have to strike that balance between the economy and public health. Pero I ask you about whether pagluluwag ito sa ating current system kasi, well, people are still expecting na tataas pa yung ating mga numbers ng COVID-19 infections as the month goes along. And in a way, magluluwag tayo, especially for Metro Manila, with the new system. So some people are asking if it's the right time to do that. Then again, you might also ask when is the right time?
Yes, because we've done our vaccination. So if we're saying the vaccinations are effective, as what the program says, that the vaccines do work, and we have 60% of the population already vaccinated, then you can see why at alert level 4, we are allowing dine-in with vaccinated people.
Yes,
although
sir.
it's just only 10% of the capacity. But it's still an improvement from no dine-ins. And then we're allowing vaccinated and unvaccinated together in open areas, in al fresco dining, so 30%. And even for religious activities, they allow, I think, also the vaccinated to enter at 10% of the seating capacity and up to 30% also outside the church.
Yes, sir. I also understand that one of the rules in this new level is requirement of fully vaccinated workers in the establishments that will be open. Number one, are we looking only at the restaurants as establishments na kailangan fully vaccinated, or all establishments na bukas, including offices? And number two po, is that a hard and fast rule na kailangan bakunado lahat up to the second dose bago sila papasukin?
My understanding is that for service delivery establishments like eating places, barbershops, and parlors, it's preferred that all the employees, 100% or 95 to 100%, are fully vaccinated when they do proceed with opening up their business. This is for the safety of everyone, the customers and the workers themselves. So we bank on the efficacy of the vaccines and do hope, and the availability of the vaccines, and we do hope that this availability of vaccines will actually protect our citizens as the economy is opened up, even with increasing cases of COVID-19.
Okay, NTF Special Advisor Dr. Ted Herbosa. Dr. Ted, maraming salamat for joining us tonight. And coinciding with this trial, curfew hours will also be shortened in the capital. From 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. previously, it will now be shortened to 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. starting September 16. MMDA Chairman Ben Hurabalo says this will ensure the effectivity of the new system. Metro Manila has been under an 8-hour curfew since the region was placed on hard lockdown last August 6.
These are the other big stories tonight. The president now wants his cabinet secretaries to first secure his clearance before they attend any Senate probe on alleged overpriced medical supplies. The Philippines is included in Japan's latest warning to its citizens for possible terrorist attacks in 6 ASEAN countries. The PNP and AFP are still verifying the report but said they are always on the lookout. And one of the biggest days in fashion is back. We take a look at some highlights from the Met Gala, including a reality star who uncharacteristically went for anonymity. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Healthcare workers in Metro Manila's public hospitals are starting to jump ship as facilities continue to be overwhelmed.
Some of these hospitals think easing restrictions at this time might only worsen the situation. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us the front seat to the story.
Our healthcare system might not have reached 100% yet, but our local hospitals are already at their limit. The biggest problems they face is not the shortage of COVID beds, but the lack of healthcare workers that will man them. The Philippine General Hospital has issued a blanket call for help from all civic-minded doctors and medical personnel to beef up the hospital's staff.
I'm calling general practitioners. The salary is nothing compared to what you'll probably be earning in your private practice, but consider this like charity work.
For decades, the country's premier public hospital was the first choice of many new med school graduates. But more than a year into the pandemic, PGH is now having difficulty sourcing doctors. 11 doctors have already left PGH with no replacements in sight. The hospital now has 400 COVID patients with another 200 waiting for a bed. They're even willing to hire underboard doctors or new medical school graduates as well as unlicensed nurses and midwives. The Santa Ana Hospital in Manila also has a hard time hiring doctors.
Kahit gusto namin mag-hire, hirap din mag-apply. Kasi nga, because of the COVID.
Ano po, natatakot po ba?
Siguro, oo.
Santa Ana currently has 114 COVID-19 patients. They're already at 76% capacity or high risk. To make things worse, more and more of their healthcare workers have gotten sick with COVID.
There are 20 healthcare workers who are positive for COVID. So, nalagasan na kami.
Dr. Solis said they need at least 30 more doctors to properly cater their available beds. NCR will shift to granular or targeted lockdowns, which government hopes would help decongest hospitals. But health experts fear the loosened restrictions will have an opposite effect. I'm Jacob Lazaro and we are One News.
The World Health Organization is prodding the government to vaccinate senior citizens as soon as possible in light of the Delta variant. WHO Representative Rabindra Abea Singhe said the government's painfully slow rollout for the elderly is unfortunate and unsatisfactory. He took note of some 3.6 million seniors who have yet to receive even a single jab. They're supposedly second in the vaccination priority list. To ramp up inoculation, the COVAX facility will send 10 million more doses to the country.
We have made progress, but unfortunately the progress in the Philippines has been painfully slow. This is unfortunate, it is unsatisfactory, it's also a reflection of the iniquity that we are seeing globally.
Talks over the possibility of limited face-to-face classes are in play, but some health experts say it's still too early for it. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez with the story.
The debate over reopening schools is heating up. Currently, there is a proposal awaiting President Duterte's signature to allow 120 schools to go back to in-person classes as a pilot study. But health experts are vehemently against it.
I don't know, maybe in other parts of the Philippines, but definitely not in NCR. Yung pediatric cases, medyo tumataas and it is going up. If you have more cases, you'll end up seeing more severe cases of kids.
Teachers welcomed the first day of the new school year with protests. They lamented the news that the Philippines, along with Venezuela, remains one of only 2 countries in the world that has yet to resume classes since the pandemic hit. Some teachers' groups were also angered by Education Secretary Leonor Briones, calling the second year of distance learning a success.
Basic lang po yung tanong, no? Ilang laptop computers yung naipamahagi sa mga guro. Kakagaling ko lang po sa pag-iikot sa mga probinsya at nakita ko po yung terribleng dinanas ng mga guro.
Worse, the teachers say they felt they didn't achieve the quality of education they wanted last year.
Success marahil dahil ito ay naitawid, pero yung quality ng education na gusto nating ipakita at ihatid sa ating mga mag-aaral ay marahil ay hindi ito na nakuha.
Secretary Briones said they've laid out 4 criteria to determine which schools will be allowed to pilot face-to-face.
One is the consent of the local government. Second, we have to have the written consent of the parents. Third, our facilities have to be inspected and approved by the Department of Health. And fourth, all those who are giving services to the school, the canteens, transport, etc., have to comply with very strict Department of Health regulations.
The Commission on Higher Education is also asking Malacanang to allow in-person classes for more college courses, such as engineering and hospitality. I'm Pamela Vasquez and we are One News.
For the big story in sports, another Pinoy baller is spreading his wings to Japan. This time, it's Gila's guard Dwight Ramos. A look into the next chapter of Dwight in my report.
Philippines on the board, and now Ramos.
A reliable all-around player with a high basketball IQ. That's Gilas Pilipinas guard Dwight Ramos. The 6'4" guard signed with the Toyama Grouses, becoming the 8th Pinoy baller to play in the Japan B-League. He might be giving up Ateneo's blue and white jersey for now, but he will definitely see some familiar UAAP foes in Japan.
Are you excited to go up against Sturdy, Kiefer? Did you get to talk to them?
We're all really excited to play with each other, play against each other. You know, there's 8 of us. Of course, we're gonna hang out.
Three-pointer is delivered there. Dwight Ramos lights it up.
Dwight averaged 13.8 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.2 assists in the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Figures expected to boost the Toyama Grouse's chances in the B-League. Toyama made it to the quarterfinals last season with a 39-21 record and is 5th in the league.
They were one of the top teams in the league, so I wanted to go to a team where I could contribute and help them get closer to the championship.
Dwight admitted that the decision to go pro saddened Ateneo head coach and Gilas program director Tab Baldwin, but his mentor remains supportive.
Coach Tab's really helpful with me. I let him know that I'll always be playing for Gilas, playing for him.
Pinoys and now Japanese fans are excited to see Dwight's B-League debut. Likewise, Dwight is just as excited to share this new chapter with his family and his loved one, girlfriend Kiana D.
It's been like a long-distance relationship since COVID started. She's very supportive, you know. Everything that I want to do, she'll support it, so.
And in order to position himself for greatness, Dwight says he will carry on with this mentality.
Just reminded me of my college days in the States where I always, I never got to play much and I never really wondered why. Eventually I got here to Gilas. I kept getting better, and finally I got this professional contract.
Gretchen Hall, we are One News. Time for another quick break. More of the big stories when we return.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. President Duterte is keeping tabs on his cabinet men, saying he wants them off Senate probes if it leads to nothing.
And he says some legislative hearing procedures are just taking precious time off officials when they should be doing their mandated work. Lino Lavario with the story.
President Duterte is playing bodyguard for cabinet secretaries whom he says are just being grilled for nothing in Senate. He now wants to have the final say on whether his men will appear as requested in legislative inquiry.
And if I think that he will be called for walang silbi except to harass, to be berated in front of the Republic, ay hintuin ko na yan at pagbawalan ko na.
In his weekly talk to the people aired Tuesday morning, Duterte says officials are repeatedly made to attend hearings that last for hours without much progress. He says this prevents them from actually doing their work. Despite this, Duterte says he is not hindering investigations.
Yung Pharmally, pwede na niyong watak-watakin yan, that you do what you want. Kasi kami dito tapos na.
But he took a swipe once again against Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Senator Richard Gordon, calling him unfit to be a senator.
Lalo na ikaw, Gordon, abogado ka. Ano ba kakalain mo? Nandiyan na yung medisina, ginagamit na namin. Para sa akin, tapos na ang trabaho.
Gordon turns the table on Duterte, calling his campaign for VP in 2022 ridiculous. He says Duterte's move to bar cabinet members from appearing in Senate probes equates to incitement to sedition. Meanwhile, PDEA has cleared Chinese businessman and former presidential economic advisor Michael Yang of involvement in illegal drugs in Davao City. But he is still under immigration watch as ordered by the Department of Justice. For News 5, Lynn Olivario, we are One News.
Japan's foreign ministry warns its citizens of possible terrorist attacks in at least 6 Southeast Asian nations, including the Philippines. Japan warns its citizens to stay away from religious facilities and crowds in countries, including Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and Myanmar. Here in the Philippines, the PNP and AFP said they have yet to monitor any threats of a terror attack, but they assure the public that they will not let their guard down as they continue to verify the report.
All reports that concern security matters, especially terror, we look into it and validate. And we will also be reaching out to other agencies about it. This is a never-ending process until we get the right information so that we can properly take action.
After a 2-year hiatus, the Met Gala is back with the theme, In America, a Lexicon of Fashion. Attendees had to embody American independence. Among the night's best dressed, Billie Eilish, who exchanged her trademark baggy clothes for a Marilyn Monroe-inspired peach gown. Lil Nas X dazzled with a gold suit of armor. He eventually took it off to reveal his crystal-inspired bodysuit. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, meanwhile, stayed woke. AOC had Tax the Rich written in red across the back of her white gown. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, or Bennifer, were also head-turners. Netizens went gaga over their now viral masked kiss. As for Kim Kardashian, it's not about red, white, and blue. Kim dressed up entirely in black, including her face. The Met Gala is typically held on the first Monday of May, but had to be postponed. The invitation-only event seeks to raise funds for the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Nick Garcia, We Are One News.
And in Florida, a college football game gripped thousands of fans, not entirely because of the face-off. That's because a cat fell off the stadium's upper deck. Miami was playing Appalachian State, and the animal had somehow gotten into Hard Rock Stadium. During the first quarter, it clung onto a cable with its 2 paws, and then there was one, and it fell eventually to the lower level. Fans then used an American flag as a makeshift net to safely catch the feline. The cat did not sustain injuries from the fall. Stadium officials confirmed its safety and made a donation to the city's adoption facility. It wished the cat the best in its remaining 8 lives. Well, considering it was Florida, it's surprising that it was a cat, not a crocodile.
Oo nga, no? May point ka doon. Pero nakakatakot kung crocodile yun, ano? Pero sana, hashtag sana all sinasalba. Diba? Kinakatch when they fall. At sa hashtag sana all, my 9 lives. And I wish we all had that luck in this pandemic.
Ano pa?
Oh,
Sige.
please get vaccinated.
Natuga.
Well, that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on
Wash hands.
and stay safe. So on behalf of Robbie Lampay, I'm Edlin Gao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.
Dinig na tayo?
Sige ma'am, mag-audio check po tayo with Sir Edwin.
Roger. Hi, Doc Conky. Can you hear us?
Loud and clear.
Hi, Doc.
How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Okay.
Still in
So
Tarlac.
far,
I can
holding
tell from your
out.
background you're still in Tarlac.
Oh, yung pa rin. Yung pa rin. Oh, may Christmas na kahit paano. Yun ang pinagkaabalahan ko.
Oh, may Belen sa likod niya. Belen ba yan? Three Kings?
Oo. I
Maganda,
do collect Belens. Oo.
You collect
Kaya-
Belens.
So I have about 36 sets dito sa bahay ko, nagkalat.
Oh. Para kayong kaibigan kong pare, nangungulekta ng Belen.
Eh,
Yeah.
at least malaki-laki yung paglalagyan niya, simbahan. Ako dito lang sa bahay.
Si Father Nolasco, kaklase ko sa seminaryo.
So seminarista ka?
Hindi ba halata, Doc? Si Doc naman, no?
Sige, mukha ka hindi makabasag pinggan. Sige,
Nene,
sige.
minor seminary yun, minor seminary. But I spent 3 years there. In Pampanga, in Bacolod.
Kapampangan ka?
Hindi. Doon lang ang seminar ng Don Bosco eh. Nung panahon yun.
Bosconian ka.
Yeah.
Sige. Kasi the first Don Bosco in the Philippines is in Tarlac.
Yeah,
Kaya yung mga kapatid ko, lahat mga ano kong lalaki
Puro
is
Don Bosco.
Bosconian.
Metro Manila will be shifting to an alert level 4 status on Thursday.
The Health Department explains that the new scheme considers several factors. These include the rates of case transmission and healthcare utilization.
Using these metrics, we can delineate increases in utilization that is driven by increase in cases and will be the basis for classification to higher alert levels.
yung pong granular lockdown, last year ginagawa na po yun. It comes from the word grain, grano, butil. No, ang ginagawa po ng mga mayors, meron pong protocol yan. Kung isang bahay na infected, you have to isolate that household. Kung dalawang bahay, dalawang household. Kung condominium, isang kwarto, dalawang kwarto, it could be one floor. No? Wag po tayo mali dito. Itong alert level ay ibang klase ito. Ito'y tinetake as a whole ang buong city.
We are not in a position where we can relax and experience a further worsening of this transmission level.
Metro Manila will experience adjusted lockdown restrictions very soon with a few activities allowed, especially for fully vaccinated residents. How will this new quarantine levels help decrease COVID transmission? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of The Chiefs. I'm Ed Lingao. And joining us in a while will be Ana Marie Pamintuan of the Philippine Star and Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5. But we begin tonight with Dr. Maria Consorcia Conky Lim Quizon of the COVID-19 Intern Night Tag. Good evening, Doc Conky. Thank you for joining us and welcome back to The Chiefs.
Good evening, Ed, and good evening to all the viewers.
Doc Conky, well, medyo nalilito kasi ibang tao dun sa sa details ng new setup. Well, I won't be asking you about the new details, but I'll be asking you a general perspective of this new system. Kasi in our discussions, it appears na ang mangyayari sa Metro Manila magluluwag tayo. Except for the granular lockdowns, diba? Kasi in granular lockdowns, talagang lockdown yan. Pero dun sa level 4 ng Metro Manila, magluluwag tayo kasi we will be allowing dine-ins, 10%, and then 30% doon sa outdoors, and so on down the line. My question to you po is this, do you think it's the right time for us to be loosening up restrictions, considering na, ang sabi ng baka tumaas pa this month yung numbers, and of course, we are trying to balance the economy with public health. Your thoughts po, is this the right time for this?
Well, my short answer is no, because as an epidemiologist, nag-average pa tayo ng what? A few thousand less than 20,000 cases per day, hindi pa natin napapababa. So really, now is not yet the time to talk about easing restrictions. From day one, we've been talking about careful balancing of the economy and lockdowns. But, para isugal natin yung whatever gains that we have. Hindi pa tayo sigurado. We're not even out of the woods. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And yet we're talking about sayang ang economy. Baka lalo tayong magkagasta o lalo tayong mawalan because we're so in a hurry thinking only of the immediate economic gains and not the long term.
In particular po kasi we are talking about allowing dine-in na 10%, tapos dining out,